So let's start with a really unsettling question. What if the world is run by psychopaths? That's the radical idea at the heart of the book, The Psychopath Epidemic. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what that means.
Now, we're not just talking about a few bad apples here. The book asks us to think about something much bigger. What if the most powerful organizations, we're talking corporations, governments, you name it, actually operate with the same cold, calculating traits as clinical psychopaths? It's a pretty wild idea, right? But that's exactly what we're going to dig into.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to start with the core concept itself, this idea of the psychopathic organization.
So what is it, really? Well, it's defined as any organization that, at its core, has zero empathy, no conscience. Its main drives are incredibly simple: hold on to its power and chase after profit. And it's totally willing to take huge risks to get those things, no matter who gets hurt along the way.
All right, so that's the diagnosis. But like any diagnosis, you've got to look at the symptoms, right? So let's check out the evidence the book lays out, almost like we're performing a clinical diagnosis on a corporation.
I mean, just look at the massive gap between what they say and what they actually do. On one hand, you've got General Motors PR saying they believe in accountability. But then their own CEO had to admit to a culture that did the exact opposite. It actively avoided accountability for a faulty part that led to people dying. This is a textbook psychopathic trait. It's that superficial charm, that slick PR, hiding something really ugly underneath.
And then you've got this symptom, a grandiose sense of self-worth. I mean, how else can you possibly explain this number? Since 1990, CEO pay in the US shot up by 300%. Look, that's not just a nice raise. It points to a system that grows and rewards this massively inflated sense of superiority, a belief that a select few deserve wealth and power that's just completely out of whack with reality.
Oh, and this one. This is a perfect example of the sheer arrogance and impulsivity we're talking about. You have the CEO of Enron on a recorded call being questioned by a Wall Street analyst who's just doing his job. And his response wasn't some calm defense of their accounting, it was, well, that. That's not just a bad day at the office, you know? It's a symptom of a culture that absolutely cannot stand being questioned and feels responsible to no one but itself.
So you have to wonder, how do entire organizations get to be this way? The book argues it's not some big conspiracy. It's more like a twisted version of organizational Darwinism. It's like survival of the fittest, where fittest actually means, well, nastiest. The ones with the fewest morals are the ones who climb to the top.
And this system is incredibly good at filtering people out, at every single stage. Resumes get scanned to screen out anyone who might rock the boat. Interviews are carefully designed to spot anyone who doesn't quite fit the mold. And who gets promoted? The people who drink the Kool-Aid, the ones who never ask the hard ethical questions. So what you end up with is a system where anyone with a strong moral compass either quits or gets shoved out the door.
And listen to the kind of language that thrives inside a system like that. An executive described crushing smaller competitors as killing the baby in the crib. This isn't about healthy competition. This is about wiping the other guy off the map. That quote just perfectly captures that cold, predatory logic. There's no emotion, no empathy, just a calculated move to protect power, just like a predator hunting its prey.
So yeah, this filtering system is brutally effective. But what happens when someone's conscience just won't be silenced? What's the real cost of being the one to stand up and say, this is wrong?
Just take a look at Edward Snowden. His story shows you the absolutely staggering personal cost. He was inside the system, saw it lying to its own citizens, and he couldn't let it stand. And what happened? He had to give up everything. His career, his freedom, he's now a fugitive. It's like the organization's immune system kicking in, treating a conscience like a virus and trying to destroy it.
And this quote, this one from Frank Serpico, really gets to the heart of why. Why would anyone do it? For him, staying quiet about corruption in the NYPD wasn't really an option. It would have destroyed who he was, his ability to even enjoy something as simple as music. It shows that for some people, the price of staying quiet is actually higher than the price of speaking up. It costs them their soul.
Okay, I know. The picture we've painted so far is pretty bleak. But it's not all doom and gloom. The book doesn't just leave us there. It also offers a really powerful prescription for how we, as individuals, can actually start to take back some control. And it really boils down to 3 key things you can do. First, you got to know what you stand for. You have to actively decide on your own moral code, because if you don't, you'll just end up absorbing the code of whatever system you're in. Second, break the money trap.
The less you're tied down by debt, the more freedom you have to just say no when something feels wrong. And third, you have to learn to think critically. Question the stories you're told, check different sources, and keep asking why until you get to the real root of the problem.
And underneath all of that is this really crucial shift in how you think. These psychopathic systems, they want us divided. They want us fighting to win arguments. The real power, the book argues, comes from rejecting that game entirely. The goal stops being about winning the argument and starts being about finding the truth, together, even if that truth is hard to swallow.
Which brings us to one last really important question. If we accept this idea that the huge organizations shaping our lives don't have a conscience, then who does? The responsibility for morality, for ethics, doesn't just disappear. It puts it right back on us, on our shoulders, each and every one of us. And that's a thought to sit with, isn't it?